ขอเสียงจากฟลอร์ด้วยได้ไหมคะสวัสดีวันศุกร์ค่ะ
Bonjour.
ก่อนที่จะเริ่มวันนี้นะคะเดี๋ยวมารีมีคำถามนะคะเพื่อที่จะชวนให้ผู้ฟังเนาะเดินทางไปกับไมโครฟอสซิลกับเรานะคะ so you have some questions for our audience
Yes, we thought with Anisong that before beginning we could just stay a while on this slide and ask you if you recognize some of the microfossils that are here. Do you know about, like, if we begin by this one? And Anisong will be running in the room with presents she selects for those who win. So who knows who is this?
ค่ะโอเคค่ะถ้าตอบถูกนะคะรางวัลออกนะคะ which one which one
This one.
Foraminiferans.
Yes, one. So we may then go to a harder one. Does anyone know what this is? The round green structure here? This one is quite hard.
สีเขียวค่ะสีเขียวข้างล่าง
Elvis, you are not allowed to answer.
สีเขียว
I tell you, it's microalgae. Then you have to find the name. Maybe it's too hard. Too hard. So I tell you, these are called coccolithophorids, and they are microalgae, calcareous microalgae. So we will reach this one. This one is very famous. No? Or it's only famous for us?
ใบให้นะคะตัวนี้เป็น index fossil ที่สำคัญตัวหนึ่งแล้วก็มีองค์ประกอบเป็นซิลิก้าค่ะยกมือตอบได้เลยค่ะลองดูค่ะ
You have another example of the same group here.
มีองค์ประกอบเป็นซิลิก้านะคะก็คือ SiO2 องค์ประกอบเหมือนกันกับควอร์ตซ์เลยนะคะเป็น index fossil ที่ดีด้วยค่ะ
No? Yes, you. Radiolaria, we have a winner.
Okay so radiolaria ค่ะ
Congratulations. So we stop playing.
มีการ์ดกับไอเฟลค่ะ so would you like to tell the name of others
Of the others?
Yes.
So here and here, these are our microscopic algae that build calcareous skeletons in marine environments. So these two, they are radiolaria. These are diatoms. They also have a siliceous carapace. This is a pollen you see here, and this is our favorite anostracode. It looks like a pineapple, according to Cam. This one looks like a pineapple. Yes, but you said it looks like a pineapple. Yeah. So, okay.
Okay so thank you so I think we can start now หัวข้อแรกจะเป็น training on oh no please show the
It's on. It just has
to change ช่วยเปลี่ยนสไลด์ให้ด้วยค่ะ
Oh, thank you.
ค่ะมันหัวข้อแรกจะเป็น cultural heritage safeguarding plan นะคะก็จะเป็นแผนในการรองรับสถานการณ์ที่เป็นสถานการณ์ที่อยู่ในอันตรายนะคะสถานการณ์ที่ไม่พึงประสงค์นะคะโดยที่เป็นแผนของมิวเซียมที่ปารีสนะคะโดยเฉพาะอย่างยิ่งเป็นแผนในการจัดการ paleontology collection เท่านั้นนะคะเดี๋ยวขอเชิญมารีเลยค่ะ please
Thank you. So, if you remember one of our talks yesterday, this plan for cultural heritage safeguarding is our first priority for the 4 years to come. So, I will briefly begin by showing you the large-scale principle. Oh, no. Of why we are doing this plan. The first major principle is the LAE Convention that you may all know that was signed in 1954 after the Second World War. And actually, the Lye Convention plans the protection of cultural heritage that is threatened by wars or every natural disasters. So this plan is organized, is driven by this institution that is called the, oh yes, this is in French, sorry, the Blue Shield. And actually the Blue Shield is a bit the Red Cross of the heritage material. And here you have an example of how it works. This site here has been identified as a priority to be transmitted, to be protected and transmitted to the next generation. So to show this in case of emergency, they put this blue sheet sign above it. So in case there is something, the firefighters, they know that this one has to be protected in priority. So this is quite an old idea in 45. In France, if it works. Okay. In France, it's much more recent that we began to think about that. And actually, it comes from a note from the General Direction of Heritage that dates from the 2016. So you see, it's very recent. And in this note, the direction asks all managers of cultural establishment to organize their plan for safeguarding cultural heritage. So now, since that date, it becomes an obligation in France to organize this plan. So as internationally it's organized by the Blue Shield, in France it's organized by the French Blue Shield. And in this French Blue Shield you have a lot, most actually of the ministries from France. You have ICOM, I think you know, the International Organization of Museum, Red Cross, and many others that I didn't show here. So the French Blue Shield is a very large community that organized this plan. So roughly, what is the plan? This safeguarding plan. This plan, it makes us move our daily task in the museum that are, we all know them, so scientific conservation, preventive and curative conservation, and move it makes us move to anticipate the risks in our collection and to foresee all of them and plan for emergency organization in case anything occurs. Do you think it's better? I will just stay here. Okay, so thank you, Cam. So the plan is to organize in advance all the reaction we should have in case of emergency. And just to be sure what emergency I'm here talking about, I just put you back these photos that maybe you all saw on the internet, which is the Great Fire of the Rio Museum. So this is what we are talking about. Emergencies that we cannot, that can come like that. You don't imagine it coming, but it's here, but you are ready for it. Fire, flood, whatever. So this is what we have to organize. So the plan, this plan I'm talking since the beginning, it's actually a document, like papers, a group of papers where actually you will give all indications to the firefighters that cover your area and the security group of your institution. And you will build, in France we build one plan per building. In that plan you have a lot of maps. You have maps where you locate your collection in the city, then in your area, then in your institution, then in the number of the street, and so on and so on. And after you have all the plans to enter your reserve, level by level, and on all these plans of storage, you have indications like this of the objects, in our case rocks or fossils, that we identified as a priority to be saved or as a priority to be protected on place. without moving them. You also need to have a map. Actually, I don't show you here, we will see that later, to have maps to indicate where all these specimens that you move out from your storage have to be located after that. Because the firefighters, they are not just putting that outside the building and go. So the idea is you show them every step they have to follow. Once they took everything out, all the specimens are moved to another place of your institution for which you give a map. And here, the specimens, they will be stored until the conditions become better, and if needed, they will be treated, like if they fall into water or whatever. So this has to be very clearly indicated. The end of this plan is details about all the objects you have prioritized, you have considered have to be transmitted to the future generation. So this, you see, all these examples are found, they are examples from mostly art or history museum, because in France, these are the institutions that are really advanced in the organization of the plan. Science, history museum, so far, they are a bit slow to begin to do that work, which is very important. And then you have one page per object to be moved, with for each of them indication, are they very heavy? These are the specificities of how they should be moved. In red, it means that this one have to be moved, evacuated out of the building, whatever happens. Here, in orange means, okay, this one, it should be protected in the site, not taken out because too heavy or because whatever. So this is the plan we are now organizing for the paleontology collections. And as I just said, so far, this kind of document only exists in France, mainly in libraries and everything like art and history museums. So in the museum, there are a lot of activities. So museum in Paris, there is a lot of activities going on to try to develop this. And there are two big actors in this organization of the plan. The first one is what we call the Delegation for Preventive Conservation and Restoration, because in the museum we are very lucky. We have people that are really, they are like a flying team. They go in all building, all collections when we have a problem, and they organize this general project of the plan. The other actors are the team of the collections, because they are the ones who know the specimens very well. So, to organize the team, we follow 3 steps. The first 2 steps are to organize these temporary storage zones that we evoked a little earlier, and this area for post-crisis treatment, and also to evaluate all the needs, all the material aspects that will be involved in this kind of thing, and also all the human that have to be organized, human strengths to come to help. And these 2 steps are organized by this delegation, because actually we cannot, each collection in the museum cannot plan its own zones of temporary storage and material needs, because we have to have this thinking at the scale of the entire museum, because it's a very big house, the museum, and we have to organize this at a large scale. So our team, the collection team, is deeply involved in the choice of the fossil specimen that have to be in the plan, because we consider that they are national treasures that we have the obligation to transmit to the next generation. So, back to that map again. Now you kind of recognize this. So yesterday we talked about the relocation of the collection. The relocation brought the collections that were here to that site. One unique building. So the first idea was to evaluate, to think about the risk of the building you are in here. So we evaluate 3. The fires, the flood, although we are a bit further from the Seine, We are still in the flooding area of the river. And actually, some of you went already in this building, and there is a huge sequoia tree that is leaning on our building, and we are very scared that one day it may fall on the building. So for us, it is a very high threat for our building. So I was talking about these first maps we have to provide for the treatment area, treatment and storage area. This is the area they have chosen, the Great Gallery of Evolution, and here a lot of buildings that are located very close to our collection. So this is decided at the scale of the entire museum, and it's validated by our president. So this is done. Then for us, we enter a bit of a nightmare, and this is a feeling of my colleagues now, because what I'm asking them is to choose between millions of specimens that hold a lot of historical or diverse value. They have to choose the one they consider the most important. So it means they have to play to identify those most important specimens. They have to consider their scientific value, their historical value, their exhibition value, sometimes also their monetary value, and how unique they are. Do similar specimens exist in other museums? Yes, no? This is a kind of questions they are trying to answer now. And one of the first things some of you may already be thinking about is how many specimens can we consider in the plan? Generally, for art and archive museum, they say that it should not be more than 5% of all the collection. If you remember what I told you yesterday, we have between 6 and 7 millions of specimens. So it would mean that our plan would be to save, not us, the firefighters, 300,000 of specimens. It's not possible. In case of fire or whatever, they are firefighters, not movers. So we have to go beyond this idea. And we have to wonder also how to go beyond the notion of types. Because maybe also several of you thought, okay, in my collection, if I have to save something, this will be the type specimens, because they are very important for science, for the stability of classification. But actually, here again, we have to go beyond that, because I'm taking you back inside of our building to that room at the first floor that we evoked yesterday, and it's a room that is dedicated to type of invertebrate fossil. This, I don't know how many there are here, but it's a room that is 125 square meters, full of types from the floor to the roof. So it's not possible. We have to go to pass that. And we also have actually to wonder, actually, are there really irreplaceable specimens in all collections, in all sectors of our collections? It would not be a shame to say, no, actually, in our collections, nothing costs the life is equal to the life of the firemen who may come to take them out. And there are collections in the museum that decided, no. They really decided, no, we don't have anything irreplaceable, that we may risk the life of firefighters to give them to the future generation. We don't have that. So we have also to ask this question. So here, a little later, I will show you two examples of how we are thinking to organize this plan. The first example will be that of the mammal collection, fossil mammal collection. And if you remember, I told you that these are the collections the most requested for research, exhibition, and so on of our entire collection. So they are very active. And to reach a consensus on the specimens, they decided not to just discuss between the two curators. They have decided to ask the opinion and the experience of other mammal expert colleagues that work in the museum, in the university, and they reach actually already a consensus of specimens that I will show you later. In micropaleontology, remember yesterday that I showed you that we have heavy conservation issue. Well, we have decided to replace this reflection in the conservation, the general state of conservation of the specimens. Do we want to save specimens that are already broken? That is a real question. So let's consider, we will go back to the examples a bit later, but let's consider that, okay, you have chosen the specimens. Then after you have to consider what will you recommend for them. Will you recommend them to be evacuated or rather protected in the reserves? To do that, you also have to play between different things. The weight, the volume, how fragile your material is, and how easy it is to move it. If you need 20 persons to move, 20 people to move a specimen, likely it's not an idea to request it to be evacuated. So it's this kind of things. And we have a specificity in the collection. If you remember the photos I showed you yesterday, we have actually two types of storage. The first here, remember this mobile furniture. Inside the mobile furniture, all the specimens, they are disposed into plastic drawers. In case of fires, this plastic drawer will melt. So never they can be actually protected on site. So for all fossils that we consider should be taken from these reserves, they have to be evacuated because of the way they are stored. On the other side, we have collections, which are micropaleontology collections, the large-scale collection, and the type reserves that are stored in metallic storage or on metallic storage. So in that case, we can consider to protect them on site with fire blankets. So here again, we have to play between these two things. Okay, we did that. We did that, and we identified a number, what we can do depending on the reserves, on how the specimens are stored, in which kind of furniture they are stored in each reserve. And now we have to act like we are firefighters. Let's say a fire begins in our collection building. Imagine how we will go through the collection. We will enter at the ground level, go in the first room where things can be protected on site. So we will put fire blankets. Then we leave that room and we reach the second one, which is the paleobotanic room. And here we cannot protect, we have to evacuate. So we take the specimens and we move to the second room, which is the room of mammals. And here again, everything has to be evacuated. So we take again specimens. We go out, slowly, and we take the stairs to go to the first floor. And first floor, begin again. First room, we evacuate specimens. Second room, we evacuate. Third room, we protect. Fourth room, we protect again, and we go out. Is it really reasonable? I don't think so. It looks completely crazy, yeah. So we faced this situation. We would like it to happen like this, but it's not possible. We have to consider the worst. And facing this obvious reality that it is not human, it's not possible, then we have come to this conclusion that actually we should take all the identified specimens out of the reserves and put them in this kind of fireproof cabinets. Maybe two. We hope we have the possibility to have two that would be placed in accessible area for the firefighters. So that's first a very big decision for us to accept this idea to take the specimen away and put them all together in a cabinet. But here again, a lot of questions arise from that decision. Where to put it? Volume, because it means that in this 1 or 2 cabinet we have to insert from microfossil to reptiles. This is something very important. How to ensure that the scientific life of the specimen can go on? We have to organize a thing in this cabinet so that things are easily movable when visitors or exhibition are coming or asking things. And we have to make sure also that the conservation here can be ensured. So these are not small questions. And we have, again, to make sure that all the collections can live together in this small space. So it means that the reptiles, for instance, or the mammals, have to agree that all the space is not for them. And reverse, that invertebrates, all the space is not for them. So we have to live together in this very small space. Another very heavy question is, what are the conditions inside the cabinet in case of heavy fire? And that is quite a problem so far. What is the temperature reached inside the cabinet in case of fire? I saw on internet, but I have to discuss more with these sellers. It can reach 170 degrees. The point is, there are some material in the collection, their ignition point is very low, it's 40 degrees. So does it mean that we will create a small bomb, or we will ignite a fire inside the cabinet? So finally, do not try to save anything. So these are heavy reflection. We have to understand the material we want to put in the cabinet. So now I want to enter into the first results of these reflections by showing you, as I said earlier, the results of the mammals. The mammals, and I was very honestly not sure they would accept the fact to choose, because in the beginning our colleagues they have a hard feeling about that project. They were, no, it's too complicated, we will never manage. They are the first to come to me with a list of 8 specimens. And these 8 specimens, here I'll show you only 3 of you, they are the perfect example of how we can balance all these values. Historical values, exhibition values, scientific values. Here you have this small mammal, which is historically extremely important in our collection, and it's based on their comment, the nicest demonstration of the principle of correlation of organs between organisms. This here looks like nothing, but it's the oldest fossil we have in our collection. It was discovered in 1613, and it was presented to the woman that was queen at that time, Marie de Médicis. And finally here, this little mandible of a fossil ape that was discovered by a man called Lartet 5 years after the death of Cuvier, who really thought that fossil ape didn't exist. So these 3 specimens are really this perfect example that we can do it. Now we enter the example of micropaleontology, where our first idea, of course, was d'Orbigny. D'Orbigny, because d'Orbigny is the heart, the brain, the everything of our collection, and of micropaleontology at the global scale. Yes, but you remember that yesterday I showed you this. They are very weathered. Some of them are already lost. Those that are not lost, a lot of them are extremely fragile because of this weathering. So again, do we really think it's reasonable to save something that is extremely weathered? And if it's not, even if it's not weathered, it's so fragile that it may break during the transfer by the firefighters. So we took a step back and considered that actually the best thing would be not to save the specimens, but the few sands. We have nearly 1,000 sands. We will not try to propose to save the 1,000 sands, but the 5 or 6 bottles of sands from which d'Orbigny extracted the specimens to create an entire discipline. So it means that if we have fire and they disappear completely, from the few sand we save, we can recreate it from nothing left. So this is so far our choice, to go back to the very beginning, not the specimen, the sands. So we still have a lot of things to do before we reach a complete plan. We have, as I evoked a bit earlier, to discuss really what the use of a fireproof cabinet would imply. Where to put it, how to access it, what's its volume, how long does it last in a heavy fire? We don't know. How the fire blankets, how many can we consider is reasonable to plan to have? Who has to set them up? It seems that it's us. As soon those people living, working in the building collection, as soon as they hear the alarm, we have to have a plan. They have to run, each one has its role. They run to take the blanket, they put them on the storage that we decided, and they go away. And after, the firefighters come. This is a plan, but how many blankets are reasonable so far? We don't know. What's the precise temperature ignition of the material? And once we reach responses for all these questions, we may be able to produce the first general list of specimens. Then we have to discuss with people outside of our group. We have to discuss with the firefighters first to show them our plan. And maybe they will tell us, no, it's absolutely not reasonable. That doesn't work. It's not reasonable. We are human, not robots. It's possible. And then, of course, we will have to exercise between us for the blanket things and with the firefighters. Maybe we will see while practicing that all our plans doesn't work. So we have a lot of things to do, but I'm very happy to say that we are improving, and it's a very good thing. And I thank you a lot.
ค่ะสำหรับเรื่องแรกนะคะเป็นยังไงบ้างคะก็คือมันเป็นสิ่งที่เขาตระหนักว่าเป็นสิ่งสำคัญที่สุดแล้วในกิจกรรมหลักตั้งแต่ปี 2024 ที่จะต้องเกิดขึ้นนะคะแต่ก็ยังมีข้อสงสัยข้อถกเถียงกันอยู่ว่าท้ายที่สุดแล้วมันจะเป็นอะไรคือแผนนี้ยังไม่ได้สำเร็จนะคะแต่ก็เห็นวิธีการคิดของเขาแล้วก็รู้สึกว่ามีรายละเอียดมากเลยนะคะมีคำถามจากฟลอร์ไหมคะหรือว่ามีการแชร์กันว่าแต่ละพิพิธภัณฑ์มีแผนอย่างไรไหมคะเชิญเลยนะคะเหมือนมาขายไม่ถามไหมถามภาษาไทยได้
ขอบคุณครับพอดีอันนี้อาจจะเป็นคำถามที่ตัวเองอาจจะไม่ได้ฟังกันที่นั่น ถามทางอาจารย์ที่อบรมให้ครับว่ามีเหตุการณ์ไหนที่มันเคยเกิดขึ้นแล้วเหตุการณ์นั้นมันไม่ได้อยู่ในแผนที่วางแผนไว้มีไหมครับแปลเป็นภาษาไทยด้วยนะครับขอบคุณครับ
Maybe you saw that a few years ago, Notre Dame, yes, the Paris big church that went on fire, and this was absolutely unplanned, and there was no plan at that time for the church. So this is what also forced all our colleagues to say, we have to do that absolutely, because for the church there was no plan and we lost a lot of things. This thing should not happen. So this is an example, but there are several examples in France also of sinisters or things like that coming without plan, and that forced us to decide to make it. Is it clear?
คือเขาบอกว่า เหตุการณ์น่าจะเป็นเหตุการณ์หลักที่ทำให้เกิดการตระหนักขึ้นไม่ว่าจะเป็นพิพิธภัณฑ์ไหนก็ตามก็คือเหตุการณ์ที่มหาวิหารนอตเทอร์ดัมถูกไฟไหม้เมื่อหลายปีที่ผ่านมานะคะตอนนั้นนะที่โบสถ์เองก็ไม่ได้มีแผนจะทำอะไรเพราะการสูญเสียมันก็เลยสูญเสียไปเยอะค่ะก็เลยทำให้หลายๆที่ตระหนักถึงแผนนี้มากขึ้นนะคะแล้วก็ตัวอย่างอันนี้น่าจะเป็นพิพิธภัณฑ์ที่ this is in
This is in Rio, Brazil.
in Bas Rio
Okay, yes. Sorry.
อยู่พิพิธภัณฑ์ที่ริโอค่ะริโอแล้วก็อีกอันนึงก็คือขอโทษค่ะลืมเองว่าจะพูดอะไรก่อนหน้านี้ที่เขาเล่าให้ฟังเมื่อวานนะคะว่าพิพิธภัณฑ์เองอะมัวแต่ยุ่งกับการย้ายคลังอยู่ก็ตอนนั้นก็จะงานหนักก็จะเป็นเรื่องของการย้ายคลังตอนนี้น่าจะแบบว่างแล้วเริ่มคิดนั่นคิดนี่คิดถึงแผนก็เลยมีแบบนี้ออกมาเล่าให้เราฟังค่ะแต่ถ้าจะตอบแบบนี้ก็คือจริงๆพิพิธภัณฑ์ยังไม่เคยเจออะไรนอกจากกรณีฟลัดดิ้งน้ำท่วมเท่านั้นเองค่ะที่ทำให้ต้องเกิดการย้ายแหละค่ะ
I think it's for DRM is important for museum. It's very important for us. We didn't have a plan of practice before. My question is, before you have a planning, do you have any practice for this disaster, or do you have a planning for disaster risk management before? The question is how often you practice for, yes, how often?
So far, we didn't practice. This is what we have to do in the coming years. I hope actually we can, in the coming months, we can do it next year. The plan would be the first exercise next year, and after we have to do every year with the firefighters. But so far, not.
Oh, you didn't have before for DRM?
Before, nothing. Just we have this, yesterday I showed you this online space we share with all colleagues. So this list of phone numbers, if there is a problem, I know who lives close because everyone wrote this. I can come by foot by walking in 20 minutes. Some colleagues told me I can come walking in case there is a problem of metro or whatever in 2 hours. So this is the only thing we had in case of emergency, so nothing.
It means for Notre Dame is a case study for your museum.
Yeah.
You start to have a policy for DRM, right? This, right? It means Notre Dame is a case study for you.
Yeah.
You start to have a planning for DRM because of the it's occur for.
Yeah, actually, the note from the general direction of heritage came a little earlier, but you know, okay, will I do, will I not do, hesitating, blah, blah. And Notre Dame is just like a wake-up call. No, it's not a joke, it's not sci-fi. So, and really now in France, there are a lot of, again, it's Museum of Art, History, Archive, blah, 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 that makes it. And it's just like the nature history community is waking up at this problem. So we are trying to discuss also with our colleagues in all France to try to have workshops together, and they can tell us their idea and what they eventually did, and we also transfer what we try to do. So we are trying to have a discussion. So this is between us, but more largely.
But if you think about Paris, it's very small, and everybody like firefighter they can access very quickly.
Yes, if there is no traffic jam, if everything is okay, but even this, they have to plan. They have to, I mean, for the exercise, they will not be coming like softly to the door and after begin. They will try the exercise from their reserve and travel, which is the best way to come with our big truck and at that time. So it's a real big exercise, including at night. This is another point.
ครับขออนุญาตถามครับกับว่าในการระหว่างในตึกเนี่ยครับมีการแพลนวางเครื่องดับเพลิงยังไงในการจัดวางเครื่องดับเพลิงแต่ละจุดนะครับ
Yes, there are systems because it's an obligation. It's a legal obligation. We have to have like fire extinguisher and these kind of things. But okay, frankly, I am the chief of that thing. I don't know where they are. So as you see, so it's something. It's also the way the museum works. You have several services, and they do their things because legally they have to put fire extinguisher here. But we live in the building and we don't know where there are communication issues. So they are.
เหมือนเป็นกฎหมายอยู่แล้วแล้วก็ตึกของเขาทุกตึกอ่ะดูแลโดยเทศบาลเขาค่ะเพราะฉะนั้นหน่วยงานของเทศบาลหรือว่าหน่วยงานข้างในเขาค่ะจะเป็นคนที่เซตระบบทุกอย่าง
แสดงว่าถ้าเกิดเหตุการณ์นี่ไว้แค่เอกคนอย่างเดียวแล้วก็เจ้าหน้าที่เป็นคนทำใช่ไหมครับคือคนไม่ต้องมายุ่งเกี่ยวกับเครื่องดับเพลิงเหรอก็คือรอเจ้าหน้าที่มาฉีดอย่างเดียวใช่ไหมครับ
I don't know. If something happens now, I don't know. Well, I think we will try to. It will make. So I think we can, in the team, organize rapidly. You do that. You are available. Blah blah blah. We try. We may have a chain of people. You go here. You talk to this. You that we can. But it means that actually we will organize for what? Because all the specimens they are like this. What will we say to the firefighters? Just try to shut down the fire or go inside and search for something, but we don't know what. So far, if there is a fire, I'm not sure what we should do.
I see your point because in Thailand it's a law also that every building every organization we have to have fire plan for evacuate for something in that circumstance.
Yeah, but for the humans.
Yes.
Yeah,
because
so this we have.
Normally in our buildings we have to practice this once or twice a year.
We have that. We have that. We have that. We also practice in the gallery. You were not there for one practice, but we do that frequently. You have the alarm and you have to follow the track and so on for humans. So I am not sure whether the technical team also does, I think so, evacuation of humans, again, from the building when in case of fire, but how to organize the response regarding the collection stored here, so far there is nothing. So I think its priority so far is human and turn down the fire and after save what can be saved.
คิดว่าถ้าเข้าใจไม่ผิดก็คือถ้าเกิดเป็นแผนซ้อมพวกนี้เขาก็มีเหมือนกันค่ะแต่ว่ายังไม่ได้พูดถึงพวกตัวอย่างทั้งหลายค่ะ
So far we are trying to decide. So far we don't.
ขออนุญาตสอบถามนะครับมีสองคำถามครับคำถามแรกก็คือเรื่องของการจัดการวางแผนเรื่องของเหตุภัยพิบัติเผชิญเหตุภัยพิบัติพวกนี้ครับอย่างเช่นไฟไหม้เนี่ยครับการที่เขาวางแผนเนี่ยอยากทราบว่าเขามีการเหมือนกับว่าคนที่มาคิดแผนนะครับมีใครบ้างครับนอกจากที่ว่าเป็นผู้เชี่ยวชาญในเรื่องของดูแลคอลเลกชันแล้วครับได้เชิญหน่วยงานที่เกี่ยวข้องกับเรื่องของไฟไหม้อย่างเงี้ยมาร่วมวางแผนด้วยไหมหรือว่าหน่วยงานเจ้าหน้าที่ที่ดูแลเรื่องอาคารอะไรเงี้ยครับมาร่วมวางแผนด้วยหรือเปล่าครับอันนี้คำถามแรกนะครับ
Not yet. We plan to do that in the coming months, but once we reach a certain step in our reflection, because it was very new for most of our team, so they had first to accept the idea to choose specimens, and after begin really to think about it, and that we also evolve in our way of handling, seeing the practical aspects of how to circulate in the building and so on. So now I think we may be ready to discuss with the firefighter because we are able, we understand how to move and what is the problem in the building. Before it was too early, we just look really ridiculous. Oh, really? You see? Now I think we are ready for that. It will soon, I think, I hope.
ครับข้อ2คือว่าอยากทราบว่ามีการวางแผนหลังจากที่มีการเคลื่อนย้ายสมมติเกิดเหตุไฟไหม้เงี้ยครับแล้วเรามีการเคลื่อนย้ายของออกครับของที่เราขนออกครับเราจะมีแผนยังไงต่อหรือเปล่าครับมีการมูฟไปที่อาคารไหนหรือว่าเก็บหรือว่ามีการจัดการยังไงต่อหลังจากที่เกิดเหตุแล้วหรือเปล่าครับ
ถ้าจำได้he asking about the place where you would like to move the sample in case of fire. Like you have said already which building to go. And after that, do you have any plan?
After that, they should come back. They should come back in the collections once, for instance, the building is clean and reorganized. So far, we didn't reach that stage of what we have to do, how long this stay in this treatment area will be, and what we have to do. I mean, if there is a fire or what, I don't know how long it will be to, renovate, clean, and so on. So it's too far so far in the reflection, but yes, we have to think about that. And the idea is back, but how long I cannot say.
May I share for my experience in
Yes,
Thai?
yes, please.
ขออนุญาตแชร์ตอนนั้นไปเข้าอบรมเรื่อง Innovation Museum อะค่ะมีทีมจากธรรมชาติวิทยาพิพิธภัณฑ์ธรรมชาติวิทยาของเกาหลีเขามาแชร์เรื่อง DRM ก็คือ Disaster Risk Management for Museum อะค่ะทุกๆปีของพิพิธภัณฑ์เขาอะค่ะจะมีการซักซ้อมการเกิดภัยพิบัติในรูปแบบต่างๆไม่ว่าจะเป็นไฟไหม้น้ำท่วมอะค่ะอย่างพิพิธภัณฑ์ที่เกาหลีอะเขาจะเซต priority ของวัตถุจัดแสดงหรือ specimen ที่มีความสำคัญว่าสมมติว่าเกิดไฟไหม้เนี่ยตัวอย่างชิ้นไหนที่มีมูลค่าแล้วก็มีความสำคัญกับมิวเซียมมากที่สุดเนี่ยเขาจะมีลำดับเลยว่าอันไหนที่ต้อง move ออกไปเร็วที่สุดลำดับที่1 2 3 1ถึง10เนี่ยมีอะไรบ้างที่จะต้อง move ออกจากมิวเซียมก็จะมีเส้นทางในการเคลื่อนย้ายวัตถุที่สำคัญของมิวเซียมที่แยกออกจากเส้นทางของการอพยพของคนนะคะก็จะมีด้านหลังเขาก็จะมีรู้เลยว่าถ้าไฟไหม้เจ้าหน้าที่ดับเพลิงจะเข้ามาช่องทางไหนตัวอย่างชิ้นไหนที่จะต้องเอาออกมาเป็นอันดับหนึ่งเอาออกมาแล้วเขาจะมีกล่องพิเศษที่เตรียมไว้ว่าตัวอย่างเนี้ยจะต้องถูกบรรจุในกล่องนี้เพื่อป้องกันความเสียหายแล้วเขาจะแพ็กทิสตลอดว่าทุกๆปีจะมีการซักซ้อมอย่างน้อย1ครั้งอันนี้เป็นเคสของไฟไหม้ส่วนเป็นเคสของน้ำท่วมอะค่ะเขาก็จะเซต priority เลยว่าถ้าน้ำท่วมถ้ามีเหตุเตือนว่าน้ำท่วมจะมาแล้วเนี่ยวัตถุจัดแสดงชิ้นไหนที่จะต้องอพยพขึ้นไปอยู่ในชั้นไหนในระดับน้ำท่วมระดับไหนที่จะไม่กระทบกระเทือนในเรื่องของความชื้นแล้วก็จะต้องประเมินทุกๆอาทิตย์ว่าของที่เอาขึ้นไปในชั้นที่สูงกว่าเนี่ยมันจะมีผลเรื่องความชื้นไหมถ้ามีผลก็จะมีแผนในการย้ายออกจากตึกทันทีเพราะฉะนั้นเรื่องของ DRM เนี่ยในไทยเริ่มมีทำที่หอศิลป์กับอะไรนะที่เขารวบรวมฟิล์มของไทยอะค่ะที่ไหนนะที่ใช่หอภาพยนตร์ค่ะมี2ที่ก็คือหอศิลป์เขาจะมีการเซต priority ว่าแกลเลอรี่อันไหนวัตถุสำคัญอันไหนที่มีความสำคัญที่จะต้อง move ออกเร็วที่สุดอย่างหอภาพยนตร์ก็จะมีกล่องฟิล์มมาร์กไว้เป็นนัมเบอร์เป็นสีเลยว่าถ้าน้ำท่วมคือหอศิลป์เขาเคยมีเคสน้ำท่วมกับไฟไหม้มาก่อนเขาก็เลยมีการวางแผนเรื่องของ DRM อย่างจริงจังอะค่ะแต่ตอนนี้ก็คือเรื่องของ DRM ในมิวเซียมของไทยมันค่อนข้างเป็นเรื่องใหม่แล้วก็ยังไม่ถูกพูดถึงเท่าไหร่นักถ้าเราร่วมกันเซตpolicy สำหรับวางแผนเรื่องของการอพยพย้ายสำหรับภัยพิบัติต่างๆที่เราคาดไม่ถึงเนี่ยมันก็น่าจะเป็นเรื่องดีนะคะอันนี้แชร์ให้ฟังขอบคุณค่ะ
อีกอันนึงอะค่ะถ้าจำไม่ผิดตอนที่เขาอธิบายเรื่องของการจะตัดสินใจอย่างนี้ในคอลเลกชันพาริออนที่นู่นเขาก็ยังต้องเลือกว่าของอันไหนที่สำคัญที่สุดอย่างเช่นเขาให้ราคาให้คะแนนแมมมอลมากที่สุดแมมมอลก็จะถูกคัดเลือกก่อนอย่างพาริออนเองอะค่ะเขาก็ยังบอกว่ามันอาจจะแลกกับชีวิตของพนักงานดับเพลิงไม่ได้ด้วยซ้ำไปเขาก็เหมือนกับยังไม่มีอันไหนที่จำเป็นขนาดนั้นอันนี้อาจจะเป็นสิ่งที่ทำให้เขาต้องคิดนานแล้วก็กระบวนการที่เหลือมันยังกำลังจะตามมาเนี่ยค่ะ
คือฮัลโหลคือยังคืออยากจะถามว่าถ้ามันเกิดไฟไหม้จริงๆครับตึกถ้าว่าตึกมันพังแล้วเนี่ยครับแล้วว่าของที่ไม่อยู่ข้างนอกเนี่ยจะเอาไปเก็บไว้ที่ไหนคือเราจะต้องมีแผนทำ warehouse สำรองไว้ไหมอะไรอย่างเงี้ยครับ
Well, actually, this is something I didn't discuss, but the museum, so you saw on the map, it's located in the center of Paris. And the space is not enough. So we have a kind of big reserve outside of Paris with a huge surface. So in case really there is a huge devastation, let's say, of one building, of our building, and we manage to take out everything we should take out and maybe a little more, well, in case this really lasts, we may be able to transport all the collections in that outside Paris reserve, waiting for the solution to be found. So there is a solution, yes. And we actually use this reserve quite often when we have big projects to be done, like big specimen, or we need a lot of space to restore or repack and so on. So this is kind of a balancing reserve for space, so that we can use it.
พอดีน้องเขาถามเกี่ยวกับของคลังธรรมชาติของอพค่ะน้องแค่ถามว่าพวกงานระบบการเดินสายไฟการระบบควบคุมติดตามมอนิเตอร์ที่มันเกี่ยวข้องกับพวกสิ่งที่มันจะเป็นความเสี่ยงของการเกิดต่างๆพวกนี้ค่ะของอพแยกกันยังไงระหว่างคลังแห้งกับคลังเปียกแล้วก็น้องถามว่าแบบเหมือนรูทีนในการที่เราจะไปตรวจอะไรพวกนี้เป็นยังไงค่ะอันนี้ก็เลยแนะนำว่าเดี๋ยวให้มอสมาแล้วให้มอสมาแชร์ดีกว่าค่ะ
ถ้าอย่างนั้นเราแอบจู่โจมถามดีไหมคะเนี่ยแล้วทางกรมทรัพย์ล่ะคะพิพิธภัณฑ์กรมทรัพย์มีแผนไหมคะณปัจจุบันค่ะพอจะแชร์ได้ไหมคะ
ถ้าของกรมทรัพยากรธรณีค่ะในเรื่องขอแบ่งเป็น2 ส่วนนะคะแผนไฟไหม้กับแผนน้ำท่วมซึ่งถ้าเป็นแผนไฟไหม้เนี่ยเรามีส่วนที่เป็นของการซักซ้อมกับประชาชนทุกๆปีละ1 ครั้งแต่แผนไฟไหม้สำหรับคอลเลกชันหรือว่าวัตถุฟอสซิลของเราอะค่ะมันยังไม่ได้มีแผนที่วางแผนอย่างจริงจังอันนี้ก็ถือว่าเป็นตัวอย่างที่ดีมากๆอะค่ะที่เราคิดว่าเราจะกลับไปทำแน่นอนค่ะส่วนแผนน้ำท่วมเราเน้นไปที่วัตถุแล้วกันค่ะพวกวัตถุที่มีความเสี่ยงจะได้รับผลกระทบจากน้ำท่วมอะค่ะเราจะขนย้ายไปไว้บนที่สูงตั้งแต่น้ำยังไม่มาเลยค่ะตอนนี้ขนไปแล้วด้วยค่ะขนย้ายไปตั้งไว้ในจุดที่คิดว่าปลอดภัยที่สุดอาจจะเป็นพื้นที่สูงสุดของสำนักงานแถวชั้น2อะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะแล้ววัตถุที่เป็นพวกหินหรือว่าพวกไม่มีฟอสซิลที่มีนัยสำคัญมากๆค่ะเราก็ยังจัดเก็บไว้ในห้องคลังแต่ว่าพื้นที่ห้องคลังอะค่ะอยู่สูงจากระดับดินเดิมนะคะประมาณ1 เมตรอยู่แล้วอะค่ะก็เลยคิดว่าอาจจะปลอดภัยบ้างในระดับหนึ่งแต่เราจะไปทำแผนขนย้ายลำดับของการขนย้ายและจุดไหนที่เป็นจุดเสี่ยงเพิ่มขึ้นด้วยอะค่ะ ส่วนแผน BCP ที่เป็นแผนบริหารธุรกิจต่อเนื่องกรณีที่น้ำท่วมหรือไฟไหม้อาคารสำนักงานนะคะทางกรมก็มีแผน BCP ไว้ก่อนเบื้องต้นค่ะ
ขอบคุณค่ะโอ้แสดงว่ารอบด้านเลยเนาะทั้งทางด้านบริหารด้วยใช่ไหมคะอืมขอบคุณค่ะมีพิพิธภัณฑ์ไหนอยากจะแชร์อีกไหมคะ
ก็ถ้าเกิดไม่มีคำถามสำหรับทอล์กนี้ก็เดี๋ยวเชิญเบรกกันก่อนนะคะก็เจอกันอีกทีตอน 10:45 ค่ะฟังเรื่องต่อไปอันนี้จะรู้สึกว่าเรื่องต่อไปไม่ใช่เรื่องเกี่ยวกับคลังแล้วใช่ไหมคะ
เรื่องต่อไปจะเป็นเรื่องเกี่ยวกับการจัดแสดงค่ะ so it will be the exhibition
ค่ะ
next โอเค
ค่ะ
ค่ะ
ก็เชิญเบรกได้เลยค่ะ